It's one of the hardest parts of scrapbooking. I say this because so many of you have asked me for help with it. The interesting thing is that even more experienced crafters still find this tricky. Today is episode 3 in my How to Cluster Embellishment series. In video 1, I shared the easiest way to create clusters. In video 2, I talked you through my cluster cake method. And in today's video, I want to share with you a clustering secret. If you missed the first 2 videos, not to worry, you can watch those next. I'll leave links in the description box below. So what's the secret? We'll get to that in a moment. I'm also going to be creating today because I want you to see this in action. When I was younger, I hated math. I found it really difficult for the longest time. What made it just a little more bearable was that you could rely on it. 1 + 1 would always be 2. That would never change. I found out pretty quickly that if you could apply a rule or formula to a math problem, the answer wasn't so hard to find. That got me thinking, could I find a formula that would make creating clusters easy? Something that would work for me every time, no matter what supplies I was using? The answer is yes, and I call it the rule of 7. Let me show you how it works. So the big idea here is that you're going to build your clusters in groups of 7. I've pulled out some supplies because I want to show you some examples. Each cluster you create is going to be made up of 7 different embellishment pieces, and the pieces you use need to be in a combination of sizes: small, medium, and large. Let's start with the frames. It will be easy to show you what I mean with those. So all of these frames fit into 3 different sizes. So that's large, this is medium, and this is small. So to create clusters of 7, there are 3 different combinations. So you could have 3 large frames. You would then have 2 medium-sized frames and 2 small frames. So that would be the 7 pieces that you would use in that embellishment cluster. You could also have 2 large frames, 3 medium frames, and 2 small frames, and you still have 7. You could also do 3 small frames, 2 medium frames, and 2 large frames. Any of these options will work, but you will find that some work better than others. So for me personally, I do quite like this combination: 2 large, 3 medium, 2 small. But it will depend, it will change. It will depend on the supplies that you're using and of course the project that you're making. As with all things, you will get better at choosing the combinations to use as you practice this technique. So I want to show you that's with 7 of the same thing, so 7 frames, but of course this works with mixed embellishments as well. So here's a collection of different ephemera. I am going to start with these 2 tag type elements, and they're going to be my largest 2 pieces. For this one, I think I'm going to work with 2 large, 3 medium, 2 small. I really do like that combo. So I'll just do a sweep through these and see what we can't find. So because I've got these 2 elements that I know are going to be my largest pieces, I can actually exclude these big ones here and then look for some medium-sized pieces and some small pieces. So I am looking for things that will coordinate with what I've got happening here. So I think I might exclude some of these that are really orange, unless I want to bring in, actually I could do that. I wonder if that would fit. Let's go with that one. So as a medium one, let's go with that as a medium one. So what did I say? 3 medium. I do like that too, and then 3 small. So we could go something like that. I think we can exclude that one. I think we'll get rid of the red. That one's too big. I feel like that one's too big. That one's too green, although we could go with something like this for a small embellishment. maybe like that. So that's too big, too medium, too small, but we still need an extra one. Let's go with, I wouldn't mind getting rid of the red and going with something like, maybe something like that. So there's our 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's start with this big one and maybe this big one. That is quite big though. I think I would normally struggle to use that. Maybe let's go with this tag. Yes, let's start with these two as our biggest elements. And then we can add in some medium. So I do like two large ones. I do find that that works quite well. We could maybe do this and do 3 large just to mix it up. Let's do that. Let's do 3 large, 2 medium and 2 small. I feel like that could be a medium. That could be a medium one. This could be a medium one. And then small, maybe this one that says love this. That's a bit cute. Oop. And then another small one. Do you know what I would do? I don't think this collection has maybe a flare button for some texture. That could be small. Big Adventures. I don't mind that actually. So we could do something like that. So we've got 3 large, 1, 2, 3, 2 medium, the flower and this title, and then 2 small, the other title and that title. See how they work together? So if you're wondering how I knew where to place the elements within the clusters, you need to go and watch the first 2 videos. I talk through that step by step and we do build some clusters together. I do want to show you this in real time though on an actual layout. So we're going to do that next. Here's what I'll be working with. It is Days of Splendor by Pink Fresh Studio. Autumn vibes for sure for this layout. I have gone ahead and prepared the background. I'm working with pink cardstock and I've created my usual border frame, and I'm going to work with the rule of 7 with these fussy cut frames from one of the pattern papers. The sizes weren't super clear here, so you can look at it 2 ways. It's either 3 large, 2 medium, 2 small, or 2 large, 3 medium and 2 small. Remember that lots of different combinations of the 7 elements will work, so really just use what you have. The next tip I want to share is that you can use your rule of 7 multiple times within one project, and in fact you should. So of course I'm using it here for the frames, and they are a cluster themselves. But when it comes to creating the true embellishment clusters, so the leaves, the flowers, and those elements, I will be repeating the same rule of 7. If that doesn't make sense quite yet, don't worry, because I'm going to walk you through the whole process. I'm working with a 4x4 inch photo, and I'm going to create a cluster of the frames that's really a place for that photo to sit. I'm trying to balance out the colours in the frames as well as the sizes. I'm also trying to make a really interesting shape. This really is going to be the foundation of the layout design. It was at this point that I felt the frames needed something to be visually anchored to. They felt to me like they were floating on the background a bit, so I thought if I add this strip of pattern paper, it will actually do a couple of things. It will draw the eye across the page. This is going to be a horizontal design. It will then give the frame something to be anchored to visually, but also it'll have a practical purpose. I'll be able to anchor the frames to it for practicality because I don't want to glue them to my background just yet. At this point in the layout, that felt really important, and it's quite interesting because as I build out the clusters and the design for the page, you don't actually end up seeing a lot of that paper strip. It's time to add my photo, but I am going to attach it just down the one side there because that's the side that sits on top of the frames. I do want to be able to move this piece independently of the background. I'll be starting the embellishment clusters in a moment, and I do actually have another 2 videos planned for this series. So if you have not subscribed already and you'd like to know even more information about how to create embellishment clusters for your paper projects, I would love it if you subscribed. So first things first, I am going to do a sweep of the embellishments. I like to look for things that I could naturally exclude first. I'm all about having less choice, and I want to be able to focus on the elements that will work. I also want to have a quick flick through this embellishment pack. I actually don't think I've used anything from this one yet, so it would be nice to get one of these elements on my page. You know, sometimes we think of stash busting as having to finish off an entire sticker sheet or to use up a bunch of elements on a layout, but I found that you can get through your supplies just one thing at a time. As long as you're adding bits and pieces to your layouts all of the time and you're using more than you're buying, then you're going to get through your stash. I've actually done quite a few videos now on organizing your supplies and ways to use up stash. I'll be sure to leave those in the description box below. Now, I forgot to mention, as I'm going through the embellishments, I am looking for things to exclude, yes. But I am also now starting to think about the rule of 7 again. I noticed that I have 3 leaves up the top there. Those 3 are going to be 3 out of a group of 7. So unlike in the demo at the beginning of the video, I'm not going to make one cluster with 7 elements in it. I want to create the whole page all at once, and that generally means working on more than one embellishment cluster at the same time. What that also means is that sometimes the groups of 7 can extend beyond just one embellishment cluster. So essentially I'm going to end up with 2 main areas of embellishments. The main one's going to be on the right hand side of the photo and then a smaller one on the left hand side of the photo. I'm going to spread the 7 elements across both of those clusters. So we have 3 of those green leaves, 2 are on the right, 1 is on the left. I'm also going to use 2 roses on the right and a pink rose on the left. So that leaves us with 6. I've added in a small round embellishment on the left to make up the 7. You'll see that here in a moment once I've glued everything down. This definitely was a checkpoint in terms of the layout design, and I did want to lock all of those elements in place. You know, things are getting serious when I'm gluing stuff down. For me now, the bones of the embellishment clusters are locked into place, so I can now go in and add some more filler pieces. If you want, at this next level of detail, you can work in another group of 7. So here's why I didn't want to add this to the background just yet. Yes, I am going to add some ink. I'm going to use this grid sort of design stencil, and this is one of my Pinkfresh Studio mini ink cubes, which I am obsessed with at the moment. I actually just got today all of the brand new colors too. Super excited to swatch those out, and I think I might even have an entire day where I just play with them. This stenciling does end up actually quite subtle. I wish I had extended it out a little bit further than I did. I didn't realize until it was too late, and I am not brave enough to add it after the fact. I had already glued the large elements down there, and then I was like, oh, you know what? I wish it was just a little wider. I wish you could see just a little bit more of it. Maybe also just a little section of it at the top. Oh well, professional scrapbooker that I am, I'll have to work on that for next time. I'm going to add in some textured elements next. This collection does have some really cute puffy stickers, so I'll be using those. I'm also going to be adding in some enamel dots, and I thought it might be a good way to show you the rule of 7 with enamel dots. I actually find that the rule of 7 works best when you apply it in multiple areas on your layout. I think it really helps with the consistency of the page, and it's a way that you can add elements in sections or in layers. The other thing with enamel dots is that they come in 3 sizes, so they're already sorted for you, small, medium and large. Of course, I want to share with you all of the close-up images so you can see the position of the enamel dots and all of the lovely layers. And I'm going to call the layout done. If you haven't seen the other videos in this series, now's the time to catch up on those. I'll leave a link to the playlist right here for you. Thanks for being here, my creative friends. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, bye.